Welcome to another video in this special video series. I'm doing all about how to wholesale and flip houses during and as a result of COVID-19. Now, a lot of changes are happening and it's important that you stay up to speed so that you can adjust and adapt quickly. And I think it's safe to say that the economic turmoil caused by COVID-19 is going to have a negative impact on the real estate industry. It's not a question of if, but rather when will the housing market crash. So in today's video, get ready to learn when it's going to happen, as well as what you can do to see it coming, and most importantly, what you need to do to be ready. All of that and more coming up.
This video is brought to you by 10K Club, a program that pays you $10,000 for finding ugly houses. Learn more at my10kcheck.com.
If you're new here to this channel, I'm Jerry Norton with FlippingMastery.com, and this channel is all about ways to help you make money wholesaling and flipping real estate so you can live your dream life. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon to get notified when new videos are released. This is now the 9th video I've released in this special video series about how to wholesale and flip real estate during and post-coronavirus. Now the game is changing and I'm here to help you navigate through it and come out victorious. I've created a coronavirus playlist where you can find all of these videos all put together in a playlist link in the description below. Now the question on everyone's mind is, how is the real estate market going to be impacted? And this is a tricky question because, first of all, we've never experienced something like this before, so no one knows how far-reaching the negative impact of COVID is going to be. And two, there is a lag time before real estate is going to really feel the effects of the negative impact on the economy. The 2008 market crash was a real estate crash first that resulted in an economic recession second. We were in a very healthy real estate market going into 2020 prior to COVID-19, and now the economy is getting clobbered first, and it's yet to be seen how it is going to impact real estate. But I think we can all agree that it's going to have a negative impact on the housing market. How could it not? The real question is, how bad and when? So to get our heads around this, let's look at this from a macro viewpoint. What drives real estate values down? The answer is more inventory than supply, or in other words, more houses for sale than buyers. When there are more sellers than buyers, there is a natural decline in home values. For example, let's say that there are 100 homes in your neighborhood and there's only one interested buyer looking to purchase a home in your neighborhood, and then all 100 homes went up for sale at the same time. What would happen? Well, obviously price would come down drastically in a scramble for all 100 sellers to get that one buyer. And if we crack open the history book and we look at the last major real estate market recession from 2008, that is exactly what happened. There was an oversupply of new housing. Entire subdivisions were being spec built. In other words, investors were building homes assuming there would be buyers for those homes, and then that happened on a mass scale. But that scenario is not real estate 2020. We are actually in a really low inventory situation. I shared this graph on a previous video, but if you look here, going into 2020, there was less inventory of homes on the market than 1 year previously. So we don't have an overabundance of new housing right now. Another way to flood the market with inventory and thus drive values down, which is much more likely, is with an influx of foreclosures as a result of an economic recession. People get laid off, stop making their mortgage payments, default with their lenders, and the banks foreclose. Now, not only does a flood of foreclosures drive values down, but they really hurt real estate because in most cases they are neglected, distressed properties that sell at steep discounts. Right now, as of this recording, we're seeing massive unemployment as businesses are forced to close down because of the COVID crisis. That means we could potentially see a huge wave of foreclosures hit the market, which will drive down demand and lower values, causing a market decline. While that is a likely scenario, let's look at it a little closer. First of all, because we've been in an appreciating real estate market for the past 6 or 7 years, most people have equity in their homes. This means they owe less to the bank than the current value of their home. So for example, let's say pre-COVID-19, your house would sell on the open market for $250,000 and you only owe $175,000 on your bank loan. If that were the case, you would have $75,000 in equity. Now let's say, using that same example, that you got laid off because of the coronavirus and you can't afford to pay your mortgage now. Foreclosure is certainly an option, but if you have equity, more than likely you're going to either attempt to refinance your home and pull out some of that equity as working capital until you can get back to work. And right now with the low interest rates, that is exactly what's happening. In fact, many lenders are no longer accepting refinance applications right now because they're inundated since the COVID-19 outbreak. The other option for people with equity is to sell their home and realize that equity, again, to provide needed cash to weather the storm. In most cases, people don't default and walk from their homes and let them go to foreclosure unless they don't have any equity. So what could happen instead is the market could see an increase in home listings with people trying to sell. If that were to happen, the scales could tip from low to high inventory and we'd see a drop in values. This is something to keep a really close eye on, and it's not difficult to track. Zillow.com actually gives this data to us for free. Just go to Zillow.com/research/data. Now, once there, you can choose your market and date ranges, and then you can see the month-over-month trends in inventory as well as days on market. Now, if you'd like to see a step-by-step tutorial on how to run these reports, I did a video that explains how to do it in detail. I'll put the link to that video in the description below, and you can watch it later. This is important to watch closely in your market because if you start to see an increase in inventory and homes taking longer to sell, you can anticipate prices dropping. Now, this is something I'm going to be watching closely. To anticipate this as a wholesaler and a flipper, I'm already preparing for a possible drop in the market. Now, I did a video where I break down how to readjust your buy formula as a wholesaler and a flipper by applying what I call the coronavirus discount. Now, I'll put a link to that video in the description below if you'd like to learn how to apply the new adjusted coronavirus discount when making offers. But let's go back to the original idea that millions of people are going to let their properties go to foreclosure. Now, if that does happen, let's think about the timeline. In order to foreclose on a property, lenders have to follow the legal foreclosure process, which varies from state to state, but it's safe to say that the normal process can take anywhere from 6 months to a year on average. So even if right now millions of people stop making their payments, we would not see those properties or a spike in inventory hit the market for 6 to 12 months. But it's looking like the timeline is even further out. The new federal law called the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, or CARES Act, put into place 2 protections for homeowners with federally backed mortgages. 1, a foreclosure moratorium, forcing banks to not proceed with foreclosures, and 2, a right to forbearance for homeowners who are experiencing a financial hardship due to the COVID-19 emergency. Now, according to Investopedia, a mortgage forbearance agreement is an agreement made between a mortgage lender and a delinquent borrower in which the lender agrees not to exercise its legal right to foreclose on a mortgage, and the borrower agrees to a mortgage plan that will, over a certain period of time, bring the borrower current on his or her payments. The coronavirus outbreak has triggered forbearance help from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which between them guarantee more than 2/3 of all mortgages and 95% of mortgage-backed securities. And on top of that, there's even talk of trillions more in stimulus money coming to help struggling Americans. So I don't think we're going to see a flood of foreclosures hit the market anytime soon, if ever at all. So to answer the original question, when is the housing market going to crash? We may see a dip happen this year, but I don't see a crash happening in 2020 and maybe not even in 2021. Now, having said that, from my perspective, the immediate negative impact on real estate investors isn't from an increase in inventory or an actual decline in values, because again, that hasn't happened yet. Rather, the bigger problem is the fear of a market decline. It's the uncertainty and the potential decline right now that is far more dangerous than the actual market decline. This fear is causing some investors to pull out and sit the sidelines, especially on the funding side. I believe right now the bigger thing that is going to impact real estate investing is access to capital. I'm talking about money to buy investment properties. We are seeing a major disruption right now in capital for deals. Unconventional lenders for investment properties such as hard money and private money, and even local banks that do portfolio loans for construction and rehabs are putting on the brakes hard. By and large, they are scared to lend right now until the dust settles and they can get their head around where the real estate market is heading. The ones that are still lending are tightening up the lending criteria to minimize their risk. As investors, if you disrupt the flow of money for deals, you disrupt the entire business model. What that means is the easy money is gone and the cash buyers that are not well capitalized are going to struggle, and the cash buyers that are well capitalized are gonna crush it because they're gonna be able to get some amazing deals that others can't get funding for. Fortunately, I lived through the '08 market crash where money for deals was nearly impossible. Learning from that, I built strong relationships with capital sources, and now in the midst of this chaos, I'm aggressively looking for deals. I do fix and flip virtually in any market, so if you'd like to be a finder for me and submit deals to me, I'll pay you $10,000 for every good deal that you bring that meets my criteria. If that sounds exciting to you, then just go to my10kcheck.com for a free training and to learn more. So I'd love to hear your opinion. If you had a crystal ball, when and how bad do you think the real estate market is going to decline and why? Leave a comment and let me know, and be on the lookout. I'm planning on doing a series of videos that focus on how funding and capital is going to impact wholesaling and flipping and investing, and what to do to adjust and adapt. So if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to my channel. My goal is to be the #1 resource on YouTube for how to thrive wholesaling and flipping during and post coronavirus. And remember, the most successful investors adapt quickly to market changes. Make sure that's you, and I'll see you on the next video.